death by doing autopsies.
Can you describe to the jury your educational background and training that allows you to do that job?
Yes, my medical degree is from the University of Miami, followed by a pathology residency at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City, and additional training in forensic pathology through a fellowship at the Office of Chief Medical Examiner of the City of New York.
And how long have you been a medical examiner?
Oh, over 10 years, since 2009.
You said earlier you're a doctor. You're licensed to practice medicine in Florida.
Yes.
And you also mentioned that your duties include the performing of autopsies. What's an autopsy?
An autopsy is an examination performed on the body after death, which consists of an external examination where the body is identified and we look for injuries or signs of disease, followed by an internal examination, which is done by an incision made on the body to allow us to see the body's organs.
Can you estimate out how many autopsies you performed in your career?
Well, conservatively, a few thousand.
You mentioned the term pathology. What is pathology?
Pathology is a specialty of medicine, and as the broad field, pathology involves looking at tissues or laboratory tests to make diagnoses. So, for example, when you have a biopsy or you have blood work done, that's all overseen by a pathologist.
What is forensic pathology?
Forensic pathology is an additional subspecialty of pathology, which is where we do additional training to specifically to perform autopsies to determine cause of death. And forensic basically means applying to the matters of court. So we use the field of pathology to deal with questions posed in the court.
So because of your additional specialized experience, are you considered a forensic pathologist?
Yes.
Have you been permitted to provide opinion testimony in a court of law before in the area of forensic pathology?
Yes.
About how many times?
Dozens of times.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would request this witness be permitted to give opinion testimony in the area of forensic pathology.
I have no objection. All right, you can continue, counsel.
You direct your attention to September 21st of 2024. Did you perform an autopsy on Paulina Wright?
Yes.
How did she get to the medical examiner's office?
She was transported to our office by a contracted transportation service.
And where is the medical examiner's office in the Fifth Circuit?
It's in Leesburg, Florida.
And that's in Lake County?
Yes.
Does that also cover deaths that occur in Marion County?
Yes.
Is there a case number assigned by the medical examiner's office to each autopsy that's performed?
Yes.
And what was the medical examiner case number associated with the autopsy done on Paulina Wright?
2024-2220.
When you did your external examination of Miss Wright, did you determine how tall she was?
Yes.
How tall was she?
She was 5'6".
And did you also determine how much she weighed?
Yes.
How much did she weigh?
181 pounds.
How old was she?
Her reported age was 25, and she appeared to be consistent with that age.
During the course of your autopsy, did you also take photographs documenting her appearance and various injuries that you may have observed?
Yes.
Showing us been marked as State's Exhibit X for identification. Can you take a look at those photographs and tell me if you recognize them? I could have the display as well. Thank you.
Yes.
Generally, what do those photos show?
These are photographs taken of Paulina Wright at the time of the autopsy.
Do they fairly and accurately depict your observations of the injuries you saw on Miss Wright?
Yes.
It's time State would move X into evidence to State's 25.
No objection. Without objection, State's Exhibit X will be admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 25.
May I publish, Your Honor?
You may.
Showing you photograph 1 of State's 25. Is this Paulina Wright, the woman upon whom you performed an autopsy?
Yes.
And does the number on the sticker in the bottom match your medical examiner case number?
Yes.
When you did the external examination of Miss Wright's body, specifically her head, what did you notice as far as injuries?
The most notable thing is that she had a gunshot wound of her head.
Can you describe the location of that injury on her head?
Yes, the entrance wound of the gunshot path was on her forehead, basically between her eyes, and the exit wound was on the back of her head.
You described the wound we see in photograph 1 here, an entrance wound. How can you tell if a wound is an entrance wound versus an exit wound?
Entrance and exit wounds have typical features. So, for example, an entrance wound typically is, circular, oval in shape. It has a punched out look to it, and often has abrasion or scraping around the skin of the margin, while an exit wound typically is more slit-like or stellate in shape.
You said around the edges of the margin. What is the margin?
The margin, just the skin around basically the defect, the hole that the bullet leaves.
When you examined this entrance gunshot wound to the center of her forehead, was that entrance circular or was it slightly irregular?
It was slightly irregular.
What do you mean by that?
So instead of being a round or oval shape like we typically see when a bullet travels straight through a tissue, it had a bit of an irregular shape, and the abrasion that you see around the defect is also irregular instead of being circumferential.
In your training experience, what is the general cause of an entrance wound of a gunshot wound being slightly irregular?
This tends to happen when the bullet is no longer traveling straight. So if it hits something else or passes through something else, and it enters, at a unusual angle instead of straight on, it can create an irregular look to the wound.
I'm going to ask you a few questions about that later on. Describe the damage that the projectile did as it struck the center of her forehead and traveled through her head.
It caused extensive damage, which you can see the reason her face looks somewhat distorted. There were many, many fractures of the base of her skull, the top of her skull, and her brain through the bullet path.
Was this wound fatal?
Yes.
You mentioned that there was an exit wound as well. I'm showing you photograph 2 from States 25. What do we see here?
We're looking at the back of her head, and as typical in an autopsy, we will shave around a wound so that we can see all of its characteristics. So we're seeing a shaved area of her hair on the back of her head, and a large slit-shaped tear in the skin we're seeing as an exit wound.
You can tell this is an exit wound because of how it appears in contrast to the entrance wound?
Yes.
Using your own head, because the picture is a little bit deceptive of where the shaving is and where the injury is, can you point to the jury in your own head where the exit wound would be?
Yes, it's the back of her head.
Okay. Obviously, since there is an exit wound, I'm assuming you did not locate a projectile inside of her head.
That's correct.
Describe the path that projectile took after it entered the front of her forehead.
So it continued basically straight through her head, damaging the skull and the brain before exiting through this defect here. So it's pretty much front to back, straightforward, without really any significant deviation to the right or left or up or down.
Did you locate another injury on Miss Wright's body?
Yes.
Where was that?
She had another gunshot wound on her right second finger or index finger.
Showing you photograph 3 from States 25. What do we see here?
We are looking at a photograph of 2 of her fingers. The one in the center of the screen is the back of her right second finger or index finger, and we're seeing a gunshot entrance wound right below the knuckle.
And can you describe the damage that the projectile did after it entered the right index finger?
It basically went straight through her finger and came out on the other side.
Showing you photograph 4 of States 25. What do we see in this photo?
So now we're looking at her hand with the palm up, and the finger that's extended is her right index finger, and we're seeing the exit wound in the middle of her finger.
And photograph 5 of States 25. What does this show?
This is her hand seen from the side, and what you see is a probe. This is something we often use in an autopsy to try to clarify a bullet path. And this is just to demonstrate that it did go directly all the way through her finger.
You said earlier that the gunshot wound, the entrance wound at the center of her forehead was slightly irregular, consistent with the projectile striking something else before it entered her forehead.
Yes.
If only, considering that one projectile was found at the scene, one casing was found at the scene, and the injuries that you saw, are the injuries and appearance of those injuries consistent with the projectile striking the outside of the victim's finger, traveling through the palm side of that finger, and then that same projectile striking her forehead?
Yes.
Did you locate any soot on either the entrance wound to the back of her finger or her forehead?
No.
What is soot?
Soot is basically burned gunpowder. So in addition to the bullet that comes out of the muzzle of a gun, there is also burned gunpowder or soot and unburned gunpowder fragments.
What does the lack of soot on the entrance wounds, either at the back of her finger or her forehead, tell you about the distance of the barrel of the firearm to the injury?
The absence of soot basically means there's nothing to show that it was a close range wound. So when we don't see soot, it's not consistent with the muzzle being very close to the surface of the skin where it struck.
What is meant by the term stippling?
Stippling refers to small dot-like abrasions that you can see around an entrance wound, which is caused by the unburned gunpowder fragments striking the skin.
Did you see any evidence of stippling on either the entrance wound to the back of her right finger or the entrance wound to her forehead?
No.
And what does the lack of stippling tell you about the distance of the barrel of the firearm that shot that projectile from the wound?
So again, we see stippling when the muzzle of the gun is close enough to the skin for those unburned gunpowder fragments to actually reach the skin. So we only see that up to, in general, from a few inches to about 1.5 feet or 2 feet, depending on the weapon. So it tells me the lack of these features, the soot and the stippling, tells me that likely the distance of the muzzle of the gun is more than at least 2 feet.
During the course of your autopsy, was a toxicology screen done? Was a sample taken from her body?
Yes.
And was that toxicology sample then sent to a lab?
Yes.
Did you get the results of that toxicology?
Yes.
First of all, how do you go about collecting a sample to send to toxicology?
We collect a number of body fluids at the time of the autopsy, most importantly blood. We collect in laboratory tubes and send to a toxicology laboratory.
What were the results of the toxicology analysis done on Paulina Wright's blood?
I showed the presence of alcohol. Her blood alcohol concentration was 0.046.
Did 0.046?
Yes,
And if the legal limit to drive is generally a 0.08, it's about half that?
correct.
Okay. Did that presence of alcohol cause or contribute to cause her death in any way?
No.
Did you notice any other injuries to Miss Wright's body or medical conditions that caused or contributed to cause her death?
No.
What's meant by the phrase cause of death?
The cause of death is the specific disease or injury that leads to the physiological change in the body, resulting in no longer being compatible with life.
And what did you determine the cause of death to be for Paulina Wright?
A gunshot wound of the head.
What does the term manner of death mean?
The manner of death refers to the circumstances around which a death occurs. And this is where we generally will classify a death as natural, homicide, accident, or suicide.
And is there a fifth, undetermined?
Yes, sometimes we do have to say undetermined if we just don't know.
And what did you determine the manner of death to be in this case involving Paulina Wright?
The manner of death was homicide.
And from a medical standpoint, what does that term homicide mean to you?
It simply means death caused at the hands of another.
Thank you, doctor. I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
May I please support?
Mr.
Counsel? It is afternoon.
I think so, yeah.
Now, assuming that one bullet caused the injury to Ms. Wright's index finger and to her head, what you can tell the jury is her index finger at some point must have been between the muzzle of the weapon and where it hit her in the forehead.
Yes.
Any way for you to tell what she was doing with her hand at the time it was struck?
No.
She could have been pushing her hair out of her face
Yes.
because it did enter the back, right?
Yes.
not the front. So her hand was more in this position.
Yes.
And based on your observations of her hand and her forehead, you can opine that the weapon was more than 2 feet.
Yes.
Width of a normal dining room table is about 3. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
So it could have been from the other side of a dining room table.
Yes.
And Ms. Wright's blood alcohol level at her height and weight was 0.046.
Yes.
Now, did you also find evidence that she had had a full meal prior to her death?
I have to refer to my report. Yes.
Could you even identify what kind of meal she might have had?
Yes. I described that she had partially digested food, including green pepper, tomatoes, onion, light meat, and tortilla.
Sounds like Mexican food.
Yes.
Would the fact that she had a stomach full of food have an impact on her blood alcohol level? Or at least the way the alcohol would have affected her?
Yes. Having a full stomach full of food can delay absorption of alcohol.
And do weight and body size also have an impact on blood alcohol level?
Yes.
So would it be fair to say that a larger, heavier person who consumed the same amount of alcohol as a smaller, lighter person is probably going to have a lower blood alcohol level?
Yes.
Now, you explained for Mr. Buxman that the homicide word that you use means a death caused by the volitional act of another person.
Yes.
I'm right with that.
Yes.
Homicide, the way you're using it, does not mean that the killing of Miss Wright was criminal. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Could have been the result of an accident or negligent act.
Yes.
I don't have any other questions.
State any redirect examination?
Very briefly, Mark. The blood alcohol content of 0.046 in her blood, does the body stop metabolizing alcohol once she's deceased?
Yes.
So that would be the blood alcohol content at the time of her death.
Yes.
Okay, it wouldn't change after she died on anything. A short period of time afterwards.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Nothing.
Members of the jury, do any of y'all have questions of this witness? All right, seeing no hands, is she released? State,
She is, Your Honor.
defense?
No objection.
All right, you're free to go about your day. Thank you for your time back. State, you can call your next witness.
Your Honor, at this point, state rests.
We'll give Dr. Lang a moment.
Okay. So y'all see the state then rest. What? What you say? Wait, what? Hold up. Wait a minute. All right. They may have a problem. Okay. Oh, they may have a problem, guys. I don't know about this. I guess it's gonna come down to jury instructions, maybe, because the Thursday verdict, shoot. Tomorrow, Wednesday, SD, we're gonna have a verdict tomorrow. I don't know. The ME didn't tell us why they was naked. I don't know. It just seemed real weird. I mean, I know us women like to hold some pipe. But we definitely ain't trying to hold that type of pipe, especially not no pipe that got to be clean. But that's just in my opinion. All right. Let me stop. Y'all gutter minds turning my chat into a bad place. I don't know, because I've been looking up stuff on the back end and like nobody seemed like they heard anything like they had any issues or domestic violence or anything like that. So I don't know. Maybe it was a tragic incident and he just very emotional. I don't know. Let's see what they talking about for the rest of the day, guys.
Members of the jury, the state of Florida has rested its case. So there are some procedural matters that we have to take up outside your presence at this point. So I'm going to have you go back to the jury room again, and we'll get you back in as soon as we're able. This may take some time, so please just be patient. Leave your notepads here face down. Don't discuss the case with one another. If you use your electronic devices, don't use them to try to learn about the case with people or places involved. We'll see you back shortly.